following is my opinion. My views do not reflect those of the U.S. military. I'm here to talk about all the controversial things that have popped up on social media that Secretary Hegseth discussed and basically a service member's 2 cents on it. So I'm really bad at communicating my opinion through text, so I decided I'm going to make a video about this after I commented on a couple of videos earlier today, and I apparently pissed a ton of people off. Nonetheless, everyone deserves their own take. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. Beards. First off, I've seen a lot of people saying that this is anti-black soldier. For those that know, though, a lot of people that have darker complexions have the tendency to get ingrown hairs. It's less common amongst people with fairer skin, but even myself, we get ingrown hairs when we shave, and it makes it painful, and you can bleed a lot when you shave. Some people have it mildly like I do, or people have it to the extreme that they break out in large rashes, and it can be incredibly painful to shave. With the announcement of getting rid of beards that the secretary said, that does not get rid of medical waivers. If you are going to the medic and you are getting a profile to have a trimmed, neat, and clean beard, then that is going to continue. The point that I believe the secretary is making is the individuals that milk the profiles, that basically go in and say, I get razor bumps, someone signs them a profile, and then they're having a lined up beard because it's the style that they want. Also, the secretary said in his address, we're not an army of Norse pagans. So, a couple of years ago, Sikhs and pagans were allowed to grow beards. Here's the thing. Most people did not come off and say that they were Sikhs because Sikhs wear turbans and they have a whole other range of religious things. A lot of people came out of the woodwork as suddenly being Norse pagan so they could grow a beard. I have even heard an E6 stand there and tell a junior soldier, I'll tell you what you have to tell the chaplain, that way you can grow a beard. That is what the secretary is addressing, at least I believe so, in this. That there are people that are, you give them an inch, they take a mile. So we're tightening the standards on that, or at least I believe that's what his address is going for. Basically, stop allowing people to take a mile instead of an inch, and it ties the hands of NCOs when they sit here and they say, hey, troop, come on, clean that up. And they just go, nope, profile, nope, I'm a Norse pagan. But then when you ask them about their religion, they don't know anything about it. In 2015, females were allowed into combat arms officially. Now, there have always been females in the region of combat arms. My senior drill sergeant was a medic in an infantry unit during the initial invasion of Iraq, and she had to meet one hell of a standard to be able to do that. She walked so many other females can run. Now, in 2015, when the rule was made that females can serve in combat arms, originally, the standard was, in 2015, that those females had to pass a PT test at the male standard. That standard was softened, and basically females had a different standard to males, and it was causing a lot of issues within units. Now, don't take my word as law. You can take a look at the War Department studies as well as multiple other outside sources that shows the difference between lowering the standard for females in combat arms as well as when it was equal standard. Putting them at the same standards, at least personally, I think is a very fair thing to do because these are life or death situations. You need people that are on the same physical capabilities so that way you don't have a smaller female trying to move a larger male out of the line of fire and she's not physically capable of doing it because she had a lower standard for physical training than that male. I know females in combat arms, and they are animals. With the changes coming back to basic training, I think it's honestly a really good thing. I went through in a couple of years where different rules were being applied. Technically, I went through when the first 100 yards was being implemented. So since the change from the shark attack to the first 100 yards, there seems to have been a very big difference in what was happening at different basic training facilities. I went to Fort Jackson, commonly known as Laxon Jackson, because it's supposed to be, not necessarily an easier basic training, but one where a lot of support MOSs are going through. I'm a 91 Echo, 91 Bravo, and 88 Mike. People told me when I got back, oh, you didn't get shark attacked, you didn't know what it was, but I had campaign covers here, here, and here, so call that what you want. But the thing is, when I talk to other people and be like, didn't you have that? They're like, no, what are you talking about? Now, a lot of people have been cutting off the clip that I've seen with him talking about, oh, drill sergeants can lay hands on people. I watched this address live, and I very distinctly remember him saying that does not mean they're going to be breaking the law. Hence, they're not going to be assaulting trainees. He also mentioned revamping definitions, such as hazing. In the past, drill sergeants have gotten in trouble for very simple things, such as just leaving trainees in the front-leaning rest position for an extended period of time and getting in trouble being charged with hazing. Now, those that have never gone through anything like this, you would probably agree. But the thing is, That's really not that difficult. And I say this to all my friends that I think would make good soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, and they've never joined, is basic training, if you have any sense of mental fortitude, is not that hard because they want you to graduate. They want you to become a member of the force. They do everything they can to help you succeed. You can say you quit over and over again, and they will help you to get to the point where you're not saying that you quit. We had people going through basic that really struggled, and we had other people that went through basic that it was relatively easy. Some people struggle with the physical, some people struggle with the mental. The point is, though, to challenge people to make better soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and I'm sorry, Space Force, what are you guys called? Remember, the military is making warfighters, not just 9-to-5ers. And I genuinely do mean this when I say anyone that has any sort of mental fortitude, you can make it through basic training if you want it bad enough. Doesn't matter the shape when you get there. You can make it if you want to. That's what it boils down to. The other thing that people also talked about was like the generals didn't clap, they didn't laugh or whatever, and they think that Hegseth was expecting it. Maybe he was. I don't know. I'm not him. But normally in briefs, you don't give any sort of response. And I even had one guy that said he had 8 years in. Good on you, man. That he said we would laugh and respond to briefs all the time when he was in his unit. Well, that's awesome. I have never been in a large formal brief, such as most recently with a new unit that I've been assigned to. We had a change of command for a colonel, and we did something very similar. She stood up there, gave us the expectations that she wanted for our unit, and we sat there silently taking notes on what she was expecting from us. We went to attention when she came in. We went to attention when she left. In the same way that this meeting was conducted, we gave no responses to anything she said. So maybe it's different in different units, but from my experience, that seemed like a very normal brief. They've been to 100 of these things. They probably were like, okay, this is a mandatory brief that I have to go to. These guys were coming in from all over the country, all over the world. I don't know what you guys expect, but like this seemed very normal to me in general. I had one person going on about how that a laugh track or applause was added at random points in the speech on an airing from, I believe they said Fox. I have no comment on that. I think that's goofy as hell if that's what happened. I haven't seen it. I don't know. I don't know why they would do that. I don't know. But from the military side of things, yeah. Height and weight standards, fat soldiers, etc.
Quiet, fatty, fatty!
My pounds are still high. I've been losing weight. I knew this was coming anyway. And I needed to lose weight for health purposes, obviously. Nobody wants to be big. And I'm going to tell you right now, I agree. If I don't shape up and I get the axe because I'm a fat soldier in a formation, then you know what? I deserved it because I'm taking personal accountability for me. And the thing is, heavy soldiers, while they may be able to perform certain tasks very well, with the ACFT and the AFT and these new tests, it definitely calls for a lot more all-around fitness than the original PT test, which was push-ups, sit-ups, and a run. Now our PT test for the Army, at least, is a deadlift, hand release push-ups, sprint drag carry, plank, and a run. It allows for more overall fitness, not just like runner's builds that used to be very common within the military. But I 100% agree with the secretary. Like, fat soldiers, we got to go. It's one way or another. It's either you trim out or you get out. And it's fair. It's on me if I want to stay in to take better care of myself. And plain and simple, chains of command for the past couple of years have let me slide. I was given an inch. I took a mile. Overall, personally, I found the address very professional. A lot of topics that have been very talked about in motor pools and offices and out in the field for the past couple of years. And if you're in that environment, you know these things have been discussed from the old timers, from new soldiers, etc. Personally, I liked what he talked about with the limpness test for generals and flag officers and staff officers, etc. That if they're making a decision at that level, but it doesn't make an O3 captain or an E6, a staff sergeant's jobs easier, then maybe they shouldn't make that change. NCOs and lower level officers are the ones that get the work done. And anything from higher up that makes it harder to get the mission accomplished, it just doesn't help anybody. Personally, I was also really excited about getting rid of some of these like check the box trainings and a lot of death by PowerPoint, and him saying that we're going to get out in the field, we're going to do some serious training. And also a big thing that he talked about was the changing space of the battlefield and getting prepared for the future war, not the one that we just fought. If you look at what's going on in Ukraine, especially, there really isn't any behind the lines anymore. So people that were considered FOBITs during the global war on terror, it's going to be more likely that these individuals are also going to be combat soldiers at the same time. So upping the standard to make, plain and simple, to make warriors in general, this is going to make a big difference. And I'm hoping that people take it seriously nonetheless, whatever their opinions are of the president or Hegseth. Plain and simple, it doesn't matter. I think the bare bones of what was discussed was important, and that's to be debated around the water cooler, in the motor pool, etc. These are things that soldiers talk about. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, marine. I want to, sailors. I know you got the scuttlebutt. Freaking, I want to hear everybody's opinions on this. Nonetheless, I hope you guys found this video enlightening. I know it's very long-winded for one of my videos. If you guys want to pick up a shirt, they're here on the TikTok shop.